The text came on a Tuesday morning while I was reviewing the quarterly reports for my hotel portfolio. Madison, your father and I have decided to celebrate our 35th anniversary privately this year. Just us and your sister's family. We need quality time with people who've actually made something of themselves. Hope you understand. Mom. I stared at the message for a long moment, then set my phone down next to the financial statements showing my company's revenue. $234 million for the year. My assistant, Jennifer, looked up from her laptop. Everything okay, Ms. Harrison? Fine, I said. Just family stuff. She nodded knowingly. Jennifer had been with me for 6 years, since the early days when I was building my first boutique hotel from a foreclosed property everyone else had passed on. She'd seen me work 100-hour weeks, sleep in my car between property viewings, and slowly, methodically build an empire that now included 12 luxury properties across 3 states. She also knew my family had no idea. I picked up my phone and replied, "Enjoy your night." That was it. No argument, no pleading, no asking why I wasn't good enough to celebrate with them. Just 2 words. Because here's the thing about being underestimated your entire life. You get really good at keeping secrets. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my sister, Ashley. Mom told me, "Sorry, Mats. You know how they are. They just want an evening without any awkwardness." Awkwardness. That's what I'd become to my family. The awkward daughter who'd dropped out of law school to work in hotels. The disappointment who'd chosen hospitality over the family law practice. The one who, at 33, still lived in a modest apartment and drove a 7-year-old car. They saw failure. I saw strategy. I pulled up my calendar. May 15th. That was their anniversary date. 3 weeks away. I scrolled through my properties looking for what they'd booked. It took me 10 minutes to find it. The Grand Meridian, my flagship property, a historic hotel I'd purchased 5 years ago for $32 million and renovated into the most exclusive venue in the city. It could host everything from intimate dinners to weddings for 300 guests. I opened the reservation system. There it was, Harrison Anniversary Celebration. May 15th, 7 p.m. Crystal Ballroom. Party of 24. I smiled. The Crystal Ballroom was our most expensive space. They'd booked it for $15,000 plus catering plus bar service. Total bill would probably hit $35,000. For Dad, a senior partner at Harrison and Mitchell Law, that was manageable. Expensive but manageable. I made a note in my calendar and went back to work. 3 weeks passed. I attended board meetings, approved a new acquisition in Santa Barbara, negotiated a partnership with a luxury hotel chain in Europe, and finalized plans for my 13th property, a beachfront resort that would break ground in August. I didn't think much about the anniversary until the day before when Jennifer reminded me. "Tomorrow's your parents' celebration," she said. "Are you sure about this?" "Positive. It's going to cause problems." "Good," I said. "I'm tired of being invisible." That evening I called Marcus Webb, my general manager at the Grand Meridian. Marcus was a hospitality veteran with 30 years of experience and absolute loyalty to me. He'd been the first person I'd hired when I bought the property, and he'd helped transform it from a fading historic building into a destination. "Marcus, the Harrison reservation tomorrow night." "Yes, Miss Harrison. Everything's prepared. They've selected the premium menu, open bar, live jazz quartet. Should be a lovely evening." "Cancel it." Silence on the other end. "I'm sorry, did you say?" "Cancel the reservation. At 6 p.m. tomorrow, 3 hours before the event, call them and inform them the owner has canceled their booking." "May I ask why?" "Because I'm the owner and I wasn't invited to my own parents' anniversary party." Another pause. Then Marcus, who'd watched me build this empire from nothing, who'd seen me work through exhaustion and doubt and countless obstacles, said, "It would be my pleasure, Ms. Harrison." The next day moved in slow motion. I had meetings, calls, a site visit for the Santa Barbara property. But my mind was on 6 p.m. At 5:55 I was in my office, pretending to review contracts. Jennifer sat across from me, pretending to answer emails. We were both just waiting. At exactly 6 p.m. my phone rang. Dad's number. I let it go to voicemail. He called again immediately. Voicemail. Then Mom called. Voicemail. Ashley called. I almost answered that one but didn't. Then the text started rolling in. "Dad, Madison, call me right now." "Mom, There's been a terrible mistake with our venue, we need your help. Ashley, Mads, please pick up, this is an emergency. Dad again. I don't know what's happening, but our entire anniversary party has been cancelled. I waited 5 more minutes while my phone exploded with increasingly frantic messages. Finally, I answered Dad's next call. Madison. His voice was strangled with rage and panic. Our venue cancelled on us. 3 hours before the party. We have 24 people coming, we've planned this for months. The caterers are on their way, and the hotel just told us the owner personally cancelled our reservation. This is insane. We need you to, I don't know. Do you know anyone who can help? A lawyer? Someone. I waded through his entire rant, listening to the desperation in his voice. The same voice that had told me I was throwing my life away when I left law school. The same voice that had introduced me at parties as our daughter who works at a hotel, with that particular tone of disappointment. When he finally ran out of breath, I said very calmly, I am the owner, Dad. Silence. What? I'm the owner. Of the Grand Meridian. I cancelled your reservation. That's not funny, Madison. This is serious. We need. I'm not joking. I own the Grand Meridian. I've owned it for 5 years. I also own the Riverside in downtown, the Coastal View Resort in Malibu, the Heritage Hotel in San Francisco, and 8 other properties across California, Oregon, and Washington. The Grand Meridian is my flagship hotel. And I cancelled your reservation because you made it very clear I wasn't welcome at your anniversary celebration. The silence stretched so long I thought he'd hung up. You own the Grand Meridian? Yes. That's impossible. You're a hotel worker. You make what, $40,000 a year? I made $47 million last year, Dad. My company, Harrison Luxury Properties, is worth approximately $340 million. The Grand Meridian alone is valued at $58 million. Would you like me to send you the financial statements, or do you believe me now? I heard him breathing, heard what might have been Mom's voice in the background asking what was happening. This doesn't make any sense, he finally said, his voice smaller now. You live in that tiny apartment. You drive that old car. You never have money for family trips. You're always working. I live in a modest apartment because I don't need to impress anyone with where I sleep. I drive a reliable car because luxury vehicles are a waste of capital when you're building a business. I don't have money for family trips because every dollar I earn goes back into acquisitions and renovations. And yes, I'm always working because I'm building something extraordinary while you all think I'm checking in hotel guests. Madison, we didn't know. You didn't know because you never asked. You saw what you wanted to see. A daughter who disappointed you. A failure who chose hotels over law. You were so busy judging me that you never once considered I might actually know what I'm doing. Mom's voice came on the line. She must have grabbed the phone. Sweetheart, there's been a terrible misunderstanding. Of course we want you at the party. We just thought. You thought I'd be uncomfortable around successful people, I finished. That's what you told Ashley. That there would be awkwardness with me there. Well, Mom, here's what's actually awkward. Celebrating your anniversary at a venue owned by the daughter you didn't invite. We can explain. I don't need explanations. I need you to understand something. I'm not the failure you think I am. I haven't been for a very long time. And tonight you can either accept that, or you can find another venue for your party. Though I should mention, it's 6:15 p.m. on a Saturday night. Good luck finding any place that can accommodate 24 people on 3 hours' notice. I heard muffled conversation in the background. Dad's voice sharp. Ashley's voice confused. Someone else I didn't recognize. Mom came back on. What do you want, Madison? Want? To reinstate the reservation. What do you want? An apology? Money? What? I laughed. Actually laughed. I don't want your money, Mom. I have significantly more than you do. What I want is for you to acknowledge that you were wrong about me. That you've been wrong for years. That your definition of success was so narrow you couldn't see your own daughter building an empire right in front of you. We acknowledge it, Dad's voice back on the phone. We were wrong. Completely wrong. You've clearly achieved something remarkable. Now please, can we have our venue back? Our guests are arriving in less than 3 hours. No. Madison. But I'll make you a deal. There's a private event space at the hotel. The Founder's Room. It's where I host investor meetings and board dinners. It's not available to the public. Ever. It seats 30, overlooks the city, and it's worth about $25,000 to rent, though I've never actually rented it. I use it exclusively for business. I paused. I'll host your anniversary party there. Full catering, premium bar, the jazz quartet you booked. Everything you planned. No charge. That's generous, but I'm not finished. In exchange, I attend the party. I'm introduced properly, not as your daughter who works at a hotel, but as Madison Harrison, CEO of Harrison Luxury Properties. And you tell every single guest the truth about what I've built. No hiding, no minimizing, no embarrassment. You own your mistake publicly in front of everyone you invited. Silence. That's the deal, I continued. Take it or find another venue. You have 10 seconds to decide. I counted silently. 1, 2, 3. Fine, Dad said. We agree. We'll do it. Good. The party starts at 7 p.m. as scheduled. Arrive at 6:30 and ask for Marcus Webb, the general manager. He'll take you to the founder's room. I'll meet you there. I hung up before they could respond. Jennifer was staring at me. That was ice cold. That was necessary, I corrected. I've spent 12 years building this company while they treated me like a charity case. Tonight that ends. At 6:30 p.m., I walked into the Grand Meridian wearing a black designer dress I'd bought specifically for this evening. It had cost $4,000, which was ridiculous, but tonight was about making a statement. My hair was professionally styled. My makeup was perfect. I wore the diamond earrings I'd bought myself when I closed the deal on my 10th property. A gift to celebrate that no one else would acknowledge. Marcus met me in the lobby. They arrived 10 minutes ago. Quite shaken but trying to maintain composure. The founder's room is ready. It looks spectacular if I may say so. You always say so, Marcus. That's why I pay you very well. He smiled. A few of the guests have already arrived. They seem confused about the venue change. Perfect. Let's go. The founder's room was on the top floor, accessible only by a private elevator. It was my favorite space in the entire hotel. Floor-to-ceiling windows with panoramic city views, a crystal chandelier I'd imported from Italy, and furnishings that whispered wealth without shouting it. When I stepped off the elevator, my family was clustered near the entrance. Mom in a gold dress that probably cost more than my first car. Dad in a tuxedo looking older than I remembered. Ashley with her husband Brad and their 2 kids, my nephew and niece who I barely knew because I was never invited to family events. They all turned when I arrived. Mom's mouth fell open. Madison. Hi, Mom. Happy anniversary. You look different. I look successful, I corrected. This is what successful looks like when you're not actively hiding it. Ashley rushed over. Mads, oh my God. Is this all true? Do you really own this hotel? I really do. But how? We thought you were a failure. Yes, I know. That's what happens when you judge people without actually knowing their lives. More guests were arriving now. I recognized some of them. Dad's law partners, Mom's book club friends, family friends I'd known since childhood. They were all looking around the founder's room with obvious appreciation, clearly wondering how my parents had managed to secure such an exclusive space. Marcus appeared at my elbow. Shall I make the announcement, Miss Harrison? Please. He moved to the center of the room and gently clinked a glass with a fork. The conversations died down. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Grand Meridian's founder's room. My name is Marcus Webb, general manager of this property. Before we begin this evening's celebration, our owner would like to say a few words. Please welcome Ms. Madison Harrison, CEO of Harrison Luxury Properties. The applause was polite but confused. Several people were looking between me and my parents, clearly trying to understand the connection. I stepped forward and suddenly I was doing something I'd fantasized about for years. Standing in my own hotel in front of my parents' friends, about to tell the truth. Thank you all for coming to celebrate Richard and Patricia Harrison's 35th wedding anniversary. For those who don't know me, I'm their daughter, Madison. And as Marcus mentioned, I'm also the owner of this hotel and 11 others across 3 states. Murmurs rippled through the room. Someone gasped. I caught Ashley's expression, pure shock mixed with something that might have been pride. I purchased the Grand Meridian 5 years ago, I continued. It was failing, on the verge of foreclosure, dismissed by every major investor as a bad bet. I saw potential. I bought it for $32 million, renovated it for another $26 million, and transformed it into what you see today, the highest-rated luxury hotel in the city, with annual revenue of $18 million and a current market value of $58 million. Dad's face had gone pale. Mom was gripping her champagne glass so hard I thought it might shatter. I started in hospitality 12 years ago, right after I left law school. My parents thought I was throwing my life away. They wanted me to join the family law practice, follow the safe path, do what was expected. But I knew I wanted something different. I wanted to build something of my own. I looked directly at my parents. So I worked. Front desk clerk, night manager, eventually general manager of a small hotel downtown. I lived on nothing, saved everything, studied every aspect of the business. When a foreclosed property came on the market, a small inn that had been neglected for years, I bought it with every penny I'd saved plus a loan I had to beg for. The bank gave me that loan because I had a 200-page business plan and the determination to make it work. The room was completely silent now. That first property made me $300,000 in profit after 2 years. I sold it and bought something bigger. Then bigger again. Each time I reinvested everything. No luxury cars, no designer clothes, no fancy apartment. Just properties, renovations, and growth. For 12 years my family thought I was barely surviving. In reality, I was building an empire worth $340 million. I paused, letting that number sink in. Harrison Luxury Properties now employs 847 people across 12 properties. We generate $234 million in annual revenue. We're expanding into Europe next year with 2 new acquisitions. And this year we're projecting $67 million in net profit. Someone in the crowd, one of Dad's law partners, whistled softly. I didn't tell my family about any of this, I continued. Not because I was hiding it, but because they never asked. They saw what they wanted to see, a daughter who disappointed them, a failure who chose the wrong path. And honestly, it became easier to let them think that than to constantly defend my choices. Mom was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. But tonight that changes. Tonight, my parents asked to celebrate their anniversary at a venue I own, and they didn't invite me because they were embarrassed by their unsuccessful daughter. When I canceled their original reservation, they learned the truth in the hardest way possible. I turned to address my parents directly. Mom, Dad, I love you. But you need to understand something. Your definition of success almost destroyed me. You were so certain that law was the only respectable career, that traditional paths were the only valid ones, that you couldn't see your own daughter becoming exactly the kind of person you claimed to respect. An entrepreneur, a business owner, someone who built something from nothing. Dad opened his mouth, but I held up a hand. I'm not done. This room we're standing in? It's never been rented. Ever. It's my private space where I conduct business with investors and partners who believe in what I'm building. I'm hosting your anniversary here not because you deserve it, but because despite everything you're my parents and I want you to be proud of me. Really proud. Not proud of some imaginary daughter who became a lawyer, but proud of the daughter you actually have. The one who took risks, worked herself nearly to death and built something extraordinary. I picked up a champagne glass from the nearest table. So here's what's going to happen tonight. We're going to celebrate your anniversary. We're going to have an incredible dinner, prepared by a chef I hired away from a Michelin-starred restaurant in New York. We're going to drink expensive champagne, from a wine collection I personally curated. And every single person in this room is going to know that Madison Harrison is not a disappointment. She's a success story that you almost missed because you weren't paying attention. I raised my glass. Happy anniversary, Mom and Dad. May the next 35 years include actually seeing the children you have, not the ones you wish you had. The room erupted in applause. Real applause this time, loud and sustained. Several people came up to me immediately, asking for business cards, wanting to know more about my properties, congratulating me. Ashley pushed through the crowd and hugged me fiercely. Why didn't you tell me? She whispered. I could have helped. I could have defended you. You sided with them every time, I said quietly. Every family dinner where they worried about my future, you agreed I should give up and join the practice. You thought I was failing too. I'm sorry, she said, pulling back to look at me. You're right. I did. I'm so sorry. Mom approached next, still crying. Madison, I don't know what to say. Start with the truth. Were you embarrassed by me? He hesitated, then nodded. Yes. I was. When my friends asked about you, I'd change the subject. When you'd come to family events in your work clothes because you'd come straight from the hotel, I'd cringe. I thought you were wasting your potential. I was fulfilling my potential, I corrected. You just couldn't see it. I see it now, she whispered. And I'm ashamed that it took this long. Dad joined us, his expression complex. Pride, regret, confusion all mixed together. I owe you an apology, he said. A massive one. Yes, you do. I thought I knew what was best for you. The law practice, a stable career following the path I'd laid out. I never considered that you might know yourself better than I knew you. That's the thing about being a parent, I said. At some point you have to trust that you raised your kids well enough to make their own decisions. Even if those decisions don't match your vision. He nodded slowly. I see that now. And Madison, this is remarkable. What you've built. It's more impressive than anything I've accomplished. I'm not competing with you, Dad. I know. But if you were, you'd win. Despite everything, I smiled at that. The party continued around us. Dinner was served, and it was spectacular as I knew it would be. The jazz quartet played beautifully. Guests mingled, and more than a few came to speak with me, fascinated by my story, impressed by what I'd built. At one point, Jeffrey Morrison, Dad's senior law partner and basically family friend for 20 years, pulled me aside. Madison, I've been listening to people talk about your properties all night. Harrison Luxury Properties. Why didn't you tell anyone? We've been watching the local hospitality market, and your company keeps popping up as a major player. We had no idea it was you. No one asked, I said simply. He laughed. Fair enough. Listen, my firm represents several hospitality investment groups. I'd love to connect you with some potential partners. What you've built is impressive, and I think there are opportunities for significant expansion if you're interested. I'm always interested in growth, Jeffrey. Send me the information. He handed me his card. I will. And Madison? Your parents are idiots for not seeing this sooner. But they're not idiots for long. They're already bragging about you to everyone here. I glanced over. Sure enough, Dad was deep in conversation with several guests, and I caught the words 12 properties and $340 million. Mom was showing someone what appeared to be my company's website on her phone. They come around eventually, Jeffrey said. Parents usually do. Around 10 p.m. after the cake had been cut and most guests had left, my family gathered in a quiet corner of the founder's room. Just me, Mom, Dad, Ashley, Brad, and the kids who'd fallen asleep on one of the couches. I don't know how to fix this, Mom said quietly. How to make up for years of not seeing you. You start by actually seeing me now, I said. You acknowledge who I am, what I've built, and you stop treating my career like a hobby that I'll eventually outgrow.